Tonight's training topic is about setting personal and business goals. So without further ado, let's get on with the training topic. So why do we need to set goals? Well, the main reason is so we know how to get to the end goal of our business. Now, a lot of people, when they start in business, they don't think about what the end of the business will be. And we've discussed this in previous training when we looked at stages of businesses. And there are only really 3 ends to your business. And we'll do a training topic on that as well at some point. But we've got to think about how we're going to get to that conclusion, whatever that conclusion is. So when we get to set goals within our business, what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to look at the vision. What exactly is it we would like our business to be, and where would we like to be in, say, 10 years' time, or when we come to retire, or when we want to pass that business on to somebody else, either by selling it or handing it down to somebody else. So they're the visions for the business, and they're the kind of long-term goals, or the best possible scenario. How would you like it to be, and in what time frame? And that's what you use that vision then to set your goals. So if your vision is your 10-year plan, your goals are your 3-year plan. So how are you going to achieve your 10-year plan? You set goals which are sort of interim steps into how you're going to achieve your bigger vision. Now, I like to use a 10-year plan for myself as a person and for my business, and then I like to break that down into 3-year plans or goals, and 1 spare year. So if we have an unforeseen situation, a bit like COVID, or a year that just doesn't quite go to plan, we can kind of write that one off, and we can go back, and we got another 3-year cycle to go through. We only have 1 year that we can write off, so we have to be careful. However, the 10-year vision can be a continuously rolling vision. So it can be 10 years from now, and then next year it can be 10 years from then. And you can keep on reviewing your vision depending on the end goal of the business. If you've got much longer before you aim to finish in business, or you retire, etc., you may have a rolling 10-year vision from which to set your goals. But however, you must have some sort of vision to set your goals from. Otherwise, the goal setting becomes really difficult. So we'll talk about our personal goal setting, and then we'll look at our business goal setting slightly separately. But we'll start with the personal. And the reason for that is because your personal goals are almost, if you're the owner of the business, almost intrinsically linked to your business goals. Because if your personal goals are around where you would like to be financially, where would you like to be professionally, and when you would like to retire, the business generally is the facilitator of those goals. So if it's you would like to earn or own some property to have a rental income once you've retired, so you can have passive income, so you don't have to go to work, it's probably the business that's going to be paying for that. Unless you're fortunate enough to have a stash of money that's not involved in the business, then you're going to have those goals and the business goals somehow linked. So think about your personal vision, where you'd like to be in 10 years, and then break that down into 3-year blocks and a floating year, and then think about what you can do in the next 3 years to achieve your longer term vision personally. So that could be a qualification, it could be attaining something like master technician, it could be getting to EV level 4 as a personal goal. That's what you'd like to do. Or it could be a qualification or something completely nothing to do with what you do in business. It's what you want to do. But always, as a part of your goals, set yourself rewards. Little things that you get for yourself, a holiday. It could be a place you've always wanted to visit, and say, right, if I achieve this, I'm going to go book a holiday to there. Or what do I need financially or in terms of time commitments to be able to go on, I say, for me, it was a Lions tour. And it'll probably be a Lions tour again. And that's 4 weeks out of business to go away and quite a chunk of money. What do I need to do as an individual? What do I need? Well, how much do I need to save to be able to do that? And that's how you start putting these goals together. Have I saved X by Y? So typically you can break your goals down into your 1-year plan. And that's the kind of the next stage from goal setting. But these goals should be fairly big big targets to aim for, not what I need to do, by the end of the year, but what I need to do by the end of 3 years. So they're fairly big targets to aim for, and they should be stretch goals. They should be stuff that, if only I could, and that gives you something to aim for, and that's the idea. And your personal goal is almost intrinsically linked to your business goal. So you start with your business vision, as we said. Once we've got our personal goals set, they are linked to our business goals if we're the owner of the business. So if we talk about our business goal setting, we start with a vision, sort of 10 years out. It's a typical place. If you're going to retire before that, then this is the goal setting becomes even more important. And we break that down, like I say, into our action plan, which is our 1-year plan. And then we break that down into our quarterly plans. And that's how we start to work out what we need to do on a sort of shorter term basis. So our goals, if you like, are our strategic plan. So our 3-year plan, our 3-year goals are a strategic plan. It's where we start putting some facts to the vision. So that with the vision, we don't normally, unless it's a number we need to have in terms of the amount of money we need to have to retire, we don't normally put financial targets on the vision. It's the best it could look like. And that's where we start to look at the goals, where we start putting sort of numbers on things, and we start to break things down. And what was interesting is we did a survey a little time ago, and we asked garage owners how many people had a business plan. And what we found was only 2 out of 10 garage businesses, had a business plan, which is startling. And when we drilled into that data a bit further, and we got in touch with some of the respondents who did have a business plan, they said they only had a business plan to attain some sort of finance. So the bank required it, or when they went for a grant or something like that, they were required to put a business plan together. They didn't have one in most cases because they wanted to have one. They only had one because they were forced to write one, which is interesting, isn't it? However, what I would ask then is, as we come to the end of this year, and December's coming quite close now, we can feel the end of the year, the Christmas adverts are on the telly. How do we know if you plan your cycle is January to December? How do you know if you've been successful this year? Are you merely looking at, well, we made it to the end of the year, we managed to pay everyone, the rent's all paid, close the doors, ready for Christmas, and we start again in January, we've made it through another year? Is that your definition of success? Well, if it is, how are you ever going to improve? Or how do you improve? How do you achieve your final aim? How do you get to your vision if you're not setting goals? So they are the real reason for having a plan. Now, lots of people, when we talk about business planning, say, well, nothing ever goes to plan. Well, that's true. Nothing does. However, if you have no framework over which to start doing stuff, then you'll just carry on doing what you always did. And if you always did what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. So it's interesting. If you want to make improvements, however small, you need to have a plan of where you need to go and how you're going to get there. So one of the things that we look at when we start setting goals is we start to have to identify our key performance indicators. Now, there'll be training on these as well as we go forward. But basically, the things that you start needing to have to put numbers on as you start setting your goals is things like turnover, your profit percentage, that's both gross and net. We start then looking at things like how are you going to achieve improvements within these KPIs. We look at the cost of doing business as a KPI, whereby you can look at, right, if I can reduce costs, I can become more profitable, or do I have to incur greater costs to be able to do even more business to improve my turnover? Then we start looking at your margin and your markup. More training like that will come along. Your labour mix. How much of your business is parts? How much of it is labour? All of these things are definite KPIs you'd want to look at in terms of goal setting as you go forward. Now, you'll also look at the number of jobs you need to do a year to achieve your turnover, which will give you your average invoice value, which will help you then when you're looking for your ideal customer, which we talked about last time. So you can see that although we start off with something that you can barely touch, it's almost unimaginable 10 years' time, we can start to bring that down and break it down into small bite-sized chunks, things that are a little bit more tangible in terms of our 3-year goals. So with a 3-year planning cycle, yeah, a 3-year planning cycle offers you that flexibility to be able to start looking at, right, in the next 3 years, I need to achieve maybe a quarter of my 10-year goal. I know that's a third of the time effectively, but it's, if you say a quarter, but then if I can improve in my next 3-year cycle by more than that, you'll start to build momentum. Because if you set goals that are too far away, you need to be ambitious, but if you set goals that are too far away, you find yourself a little bit disheartened when you think, oh, there's no point doing this because I can never achieve that. Because you'll find once you start to make small improvements, those small improvements will compound and compound and compound to magnificent results in the end. But you can only do that really by setting some sort of goal. So one of the things that you can start to look at in goal setting is you have your framework for what your garage, your ideal business should look like. So when you start to do your vision, one of the things you can do with your vision is, and we'll talk about this in future training, is you start with your organizational chart. Now your organizational chart is what the business would look like. How many technicians would you have? How many front of house? Who these people are? You can actually start to sort of colour in, if you like, a bit of the detail of what your ideal business will look like, so that you have the vision of the perfect structure, and you can then look at, right, if that's the perfect structure, if that's where I need to be, what can I do in the next 3-year cycle to start employing, to start putting things in place, systems, which we've already started to talk about, to put in place to get the right kind of employees in place, ready to achieve what would be the perfect structure. And then from that, you can start to call each position, give it a name. So technician 1, what's his roles or her roles and responsibilities? Technician 2, roles and responsibilities. What kind of qualifications would they need? What kind of pay structure would there be? And you can start to, you don't have to do it all at once. This is the great thing about setting goals, is you can come up with your framework, and then you can start to add detail to it as and when you start to get nearer those goals in your 1-year plan. And what you end up with is, if you like, a kind of bird's eye view of where you need to get, and that's what you set as a goal. And then each year in your yearly plan, you look at how far you need to, or what you need to do, and how far you've got into achieving it. So then when you get to the end of the year, unlike if you have no plan, you have no goal set, you kind of just want to have the doors open again next year. Instead of that, you get to the end and you go, right, what did we need to achieve in terms of turnover? Check. Yep, we did that. What did we do in terms of gross profit? What did we do in terms of net profit? Yeah. What's our average invoice value? All of these KPIs, then you can have a measure against how successful you were at achieving them, and how close you are to your goal, and therefore how close you are then to your vision. And once you start looking at what works and what doesn't work, because you can only master what you measure. If you don't measure it, you don't know whether you're getting any better at it. So that's a sort of quick whistle-stop tour of goal setting. Hope it's been of some use. Remember, always start with your personal goals. Once you've set them out, you can look at whether your business is capable of achieving those goals for you. Yep. And then what changes you need to make to your business to achieve your personal goals, and then what changes you need to make to your business to meet your professional goals. Hope that's been of some help, and I look forward to seeing some comments if there is any, or answering any questions. Just get in touch. Just direct message me if you have any questions. Thank you.